Hi, my name is Elaine. I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm owner of Inspired by My Angels CLM, where I make wreaths for every occasion and season, and also will do custom orders. Today we're going to be making a spring tulip wreath. I hope you'll stick around and see how we put that together. Thank you. Hi, I just want to go over what we're going to be using today to design a tulip wreath for the spring. First of all, I have this beautiful sign. Just show that to you. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. I love that hymn. It's beautiful. And the reason why I'm showing you this first is because this, I have learned, is we need to choose an inspiration piece for our design, and this is my inspiration. So with this sign, what I've done, I'll show you the flowers. We're going to be building on a 14-inch grapevine. So I'm going to be using these tulips, various shades. And as you can see, this is pulling out the colors in our sign. Okay? Put that to the side. Also, we'll be beginning with greenery. I'm going to be using some of this fern. This greenery. And as a filler, I'll be using this. Okay, and we'll go over that as when we start clipping it and cutting it up. So that's our greens and filler and flower that we'll be using today. Our sign. Again, we use this as our inspiration. So these are the ribbons I've chosen. The pink and this plaid that has all of the colors that I showed you. It's going to look very nice with it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put that aside. We're not ready for that at this point. The first thing I want to say is I did go over my wreath and clean it up a little bit. Okay. I've decided I'm going to use this side. I've cleaned up the back. I'll go over that again to make sure there's no parts that are sticking out. Like I can show you that right here. Like there's a little nub. Just go in with your clipper and clip that off. We don't want that to scratch the customer's door. Excuse me. There, it is a natural product, so here's a little branch that I don't think should be in there. This piece is sticking up a little, so I'm going to just take my snippers and just snip that out. Okay, so you're going to need clippers. Of course, we'll also need some scissors for our ribbon. And as I had told you, I'm going to flip this back over again. And because there's this large piece of vine here, I've decided not to place my sign because it's going to be in the way. So this side is a little flatter. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove my sign from its packaging. I like to keep it in the packaging to avoid getting scratched. I've decided because it's going to be in the way. So this side is a little flatter. Keep it in the packaging to avoid getting scratched. Okay. So here's the sign, and as I said, this I'm going to be placing this where it'll sit nice and flat. It's going to overhang the wreath a little bit, but that's fine. So as I press this here, I can see to attach, I would need a hole here to attach with and one down here in this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how we do that. Just move the wreath out of the way. What I have here is a beadsmith tool, and I got this at Joanne Fabrics. I believe it was in the jewelry section. And what I'm going to do, I had already decided this is where I was going to need it. So I'm just going to make a small hole. And the other one was going to be a little off-centered on the bottom. So I'm going to punch my hole there. Okay? All right, we won't need those anymore. Okay, the other thing we're going to need is some wire to attach our sign to our grapevine wreath. So I've just got some paddle wire here, and this is 26 gauge. Okay? So I'm going to cut off a length. Don't use your scissors and dull your scissors. Use your clipper. So I'm using my clipper, and I'm just going to insert that into the hole here. Okay, get it even. And then I'm just going to give it a little twist to the back. Once we get, you won't even see this. It's just a little bit of wire showing there. So now we have those two pieces to attach. Let me cut off another section to the back. Clip that off. And we're going to insert the wire in our second hole. You just want to make sure this sign is nice and secure on our wreath. Okay? Again, I'm going to just pick it up, give it a little twist. Okay, we're done with that wire. So let me bring the wreath back over. And I've decided I want it here on this side. So I'm just going to take my wire. You don't want to go around the grapevine. You want to go through the grapevine. Okay? So we're just going to push this through. Bring it through. Okay, and look at it from the back. We're through. And then I've got the top where I want it. I'm just going to hold that there, flip it over. Making sure I've got a few of the branches from our grapevine. And I'm just going to give that a twist. Like so. We'll do that 4 or 5 times. Making sure I've got a few. Clip it off. And then these little pieces that are left over, we're just going to tuck those down into our grapevine. Now let's do the same thing on the bottom. Like so, do that. Okay, we're going to feed that through the grapevine. Here it is, coming through the other side. Okay, we're going to feed that through the grapevine. And this one's giving me a little problem here, a little bend. Okay, there it is. See if I can get a hold of that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to flip it over, make sure I like the placement. And I do. So I'm going to put that back. I flipped it over. And now I'm going to give that a nice twist. Like I said, 2, 3, 4 times. Should do it. Clip it off. The excess. I'm just going to tuck that back down under the grapevine. Okay? Okay. So here you can see our sign is attached. Put it upside down. It's not going anywhere. So we're all set with that. Now, What I have learned is to put your larger items on your wreath first. So we've got our sign, and then the next thing I'd like to do is make the bow. Okay? So I use the Easy Bow Maker. I'm going to put my wreath off to the side here. Let's grab our ribbon. And these are the ribbons that we've chosen for today. As I showed you in the beginning, they go nicely with our sign. And that's our inspiration. So we're going to make tails to hang down. I'm just going to pull a little bit of ribbon off. On the Easy Bow Maker, there's measurements. So I'm just going to take it and go to the end. There's 8 inches there. And then I'll bring another 8 inches, giving us a 16-inch long tail. We can always trim it afterwards if we find that it's too long. So we're going to place our ribbon inside. We're going to scrunch that down. We're going to give it a twist. I'm going to make my bow loops at 5. So what I'm going to do, there's measurements like I said on here. I'm going to just hold my baby finger at the 5. I'm going to scrunch my ribbon in, twist, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, okay? Again, I'm doing the same thing on the opposite side, holding my finger at the 5, scrunching it down, give it a twist. Again, we're going to come back, place our ribbon in, measure it to the previous loop that you made, which is at 5, scrunch your ribbon in, give it a nice twist. Same thing on this side. Give it a twist. Okay. Okay, so now we have a total of 4 loops, 2 on each side. And that should be plenty. So we're not going to twist now. We're going to bring that down. It's going to be the other tail that we have. And I'm just going to measure to the other one and cut. Okay? So we're done with that ribbon. So we're going to have 8 loops total on our bow. And now we're going to take our plaid ribbon. Okay? And it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to measure my tail, which we had said was about 16 inches. So now I'm going to place my ribbon, scrunch it down, give it a twist. We're going to measure our loop out. And we're going to go to the 5. Put our ribbon in, scrunch it down, keeping your tails towards you. Okay? Do the same thing on the other side. Measure out to the 5. Bring your ribbon in, give scrunch, twist. Okay? So now we're going to add our second loop on this side with this ribbon. Okay, measure it out to the 5, scrunch it down, give your ribbon a twist. Put our ribbon in. Again on this side, this will be our last loop. We're going to add our second loop on this side. Okay, we're going to measure it out to the 5, bring our ribbon in. You can see I kind of put it in sideways and then press it down. So you got a good, I call it a scrunch. We're not going to twist this time because we're going to bring this down for our tail. So this is going to be a pretty simple bow, which I think is going to look nice with that sign. the size of the sign. We don't want it to be too big. So we're going to trim that off. Okay, we'll put our ribbon away. I like to keep my ribbon. I use the common pin. Keep it pinned to keep your ribbon nice and smooth. You don't want to have wrinkles in it. Okay. So we're going to trim that off. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is we're going to use zip ties. So I'm going to grab 2 zip ties right now. And this is what I'm going to use to secure my bow. Before I do that, though, I'm going to just take a look. Okay, we've got, make sure everything is where I want it. Just fluff them up a little bit. Okay. Just put your fingers in and spread them out just to give the bow a little dimension. Holding my fingers down so I'm not pulling it out. That's going to be pretty. Okay? All right. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to take my zip tie. And the zip tie, you always want this raised to be away from you. This is where you're going to insert for it to lock into place. I take my zip tie and I just run it along the sides of my peg. Bring the end up, insert it. You always want this. And I'm going to tighten it. I'm not going to tighten it all the way, but enough so it's not, I'm not going to lose my loops when I take it off. So now I'm just going to take this off. Okay, let me get this maker out of the way. Tighten it. Okay. I'm not going to tighten it all the way, but so now I'm not going to lose my loops. This is the back of the bow. I'm just going to twist that so it's to the back. I'm going to take a look again. Got our tails. There we go. And we've got our bow. Okay. So once you're pleased with how the bow looks, if there were any twists in the ribbon, you can take that opportunity now to straighten them out. If the loops were not the correct size, it's loose enough that you could adjust it. Okay? So I'm still holding on to this all the time. I'm going to take a second zip tie, making sure this is to the back. I'm going to slide it through. This is going to be our attachment. This is what we'll use to attach to our grapevine wreath. So I've got that in there. I'm just going to pull on this zip tie nice and tight. Okay? We've got that secure. Take my clipper, clip off the excess, like so. And here's our bow. Okay? Once we get this on the wreath, we'll be able to fluff it. We'll be fluffing this numerous times. I always do. Okay? But that's going to be a really pretty bow. Okay. Let me get the wreath. Okay. So now I have my wreath back and I want to attach it. I've got the sign here. I don't want it to be directly across from my sign, so what I'm going to do is probably go up a little, let's say 10 o'clock position, if this were a clock. Okay? So I'm just going to take my zip tie and feed it through my grapevine. If you can see this, I'm going to bring this end back up and through, catching the grapevine. So I'm just going to take my sometimes this takes me a little longer. There we go. So it's through. Zip tie. Put the end in. I'm going to start to tighten it a little bit, but not all the way until I look at it and make sure I'm pleased with that placement. Okay? And I'd say we're more at the 11 o'clock position. Okay. Okay, so just it's fluffed out for you. Let you see how that's going to look. Okay. So there's our bow, and we've got our streamers. All right, I'll turn this around. I like that, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten that all the way. Don't pull it too tight to squeeze your grapevine, because then it will make it difficult for you to insert your stems. But tight enough that it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, and I'm clipping off my excess. Okay. Okay, so I like that. So what we'll be doing is we'll be placing some florals above our bow. The bow being our transition place will change direction, and our flowers, greenery will flow in this direction. Okay, so we're probably going to come down to about the center of the wreath on the bottom and a little over closer to the sign on the top. Okay, I'm going to put this aside and we'll start getting our greenery ready. So what we'll be doing is we'll be placing some florals. I have some fern here, so I'm going to clip off a few pieces. I'm going to be using the glue skillet today, not a glue gun. The glue skillet is very nice. It's not quite as hot, and you're less likely to burn yourself when you're using it. And all it is a regular kitchen fry skillet, electric. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Try to get some similar lengths. Let's get another long one here. We'll just cut a few. I'm not sure how many I'll use. We'll look, and I want a few shorter pieces as well. So in the center, we do have some shorter pieces. And I'm going to play, and they vary in color, which is nice. It just is going to add a lot of texture to our wreath. Okay. So I'm just cutting out a few pieces. I'm going to come down to about this to the side on. Okay. 3. So we've got 7 pieces of this fern cut. I'm going to stop there, and we'll go back if we need to add more. Okay. And also, what I'm going to do to give myself a stem, I'm just going to tear off some of these lower pieces, okay? I'm going to put those aside. We may want to take those and add them into our bow at the end. We'll see. So I'm going to do that to each of these. Just pull those off. See, it's just giving you a couple of inches of stem that you'll be able to insert into your grapevine. Okay. Pull a few off. So what I have learned from the design classes that I've taken is to begin with your greenery, placing that's going to give you your overall shape. It's also going to create the line that you're going to want for your finished product. And then you go in and you fill from there. And we'll go over that as I do it. Okay? So let me bring the wreath back over. So what I have... Okay. So I've got my wreath set here in front of me. I know you can't see it, but my glue pot is right to my side. Just get some of these things out of my way. Okay. So So I'm going to start off with my longer pieces. Okay, and what I like to do is just place it in and see how I'm going to like it. And you don't want to put your stems in this way, that way. You go with the grain of the grapevine, okay? And you don't want to lay it flat like this. You want it to have dimension. So what I'm going to do is go in at an angle right there to one side of my bow. So I'm going to dip it in my glue. Okay, show you that. There's some glue on the end. I'm going to go in. And I'm keeping it up. And as I'm putting it in, I'm lifting on the stem. Okay, to give it some dimension. So we've got that piece. Okay. So we put one up here. The way that I've been shown to work is now I would come opposite that, okay? So what I'm going to do is lift up my tails out of the way. I'm not going to be right next to the bow, but I'm going to be close. And I'm going to insert this one coming down this way opposite. So let me put a little bit of glue. And I'm going to insert that with the grain, wiggling it a little bit, making sure I'm making good contact with the vine. And again, it's not placed in there flat. Okay? So that gives us, actually, I think I'm going to need a couple more of those long ones. So I'm going to go ahead and clip those off, just like we did before. This one, it's placed in there flat. Okay. And just remove some of those lower leaves. Give us room. Okay. So I'm going to go back up to the top. Just remove some of those lower. I'm just going to come down here. I had this one to the center. I'm going to put this one towards the back. Okay. Put a little bit of glue. Come in. Insert. I'm just going to lifting up. I have a little bit of glue showing there, so what I'm going to do is take a little bit of Spanish moss, just roll it in a ball, and I'm going to place that right where my glue is. That's going to hide. We don't want the customer to see the mechanics of the wreath, so that covers it up nicely. So now we've got a couple of pieces there. I'm going to come to the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing, okay? Give myself some length on the stem. That one I had come to the outside, so this time I'm going to come down in the center, okay? Put a little bit of glue. And I'm going to come in at an angle. This, I had those going in that direction. Now this is our transition. Again, my glue. I'm going to just take a little bit of my moss. This helps secure the stem as well. And I'm just going to push that down inside. Okay? And we're just going to give that a little bit of movement. We'll go back and do this, fluff it all up, but it's nice to do it as we go. Okay? Okay. And our bow's going to keep getting crushed. We'll be constantly fluffing it. So you can see I'm getting my line. I've got two going down in this direction, two coming up in this direction. I'm not going to want to go beyond. I'm going to try to stay within my line. Okay. Now we don't want to leave the bow naked in the back. So I'm going to get a few pieces. We'll go back so you can see line. So I'm going to take one of our other pieces a little shorter. I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to just go behind my bow with this piece. Yeah, that's going to look nice. Dip in my glue pot, insert. I'm still above my transition, so I'm going in an upward and somewhat sideways direction. I'm going to put a little bit of moss behind my bow, just to hide where that glue went in. Okay? So now we've got a piece there. We'll just give that a nice little bend, give it some life. We put one up, so now we need to put one down. Just going to fluff my piece. You don't want to put it in flat. See how that gives it so much more dimension than what it looked like this. Okay? So let me just try it on for size. That's going to look nice there. So put some glue. And now I'm going to be going more in a downward because I'm on the other side of my transition, which is my bow. Put a little bit of Spanish moss, and you just take the Spanish moss and roll it in a ball and just place it where that glue may be showing. Okay? Okay. So now we have a good line, and now we're going to fill in and work in between, okay? We'll save these other shorter pieces we have. We still have 3 left. We'll wait on those. Okay. So next, I've got some of this greenery. I'm going to cut a few pieces of this off. Okay, you just bend it out. And these push up, so you can keep it just one piece. You can make it a little fuller. Slide it down. And we're going to leave like about, 2-inch stem. Okay, so we'll get a few of these cut. I've got some. Top of this greenery. I'm going to cut a few pieces of this off. Okay. I'll get a few more. You can always go back and cut again. And I'll cut one more piece. All right, let me just cut this off. Put that aside, and then I can show you. You can see here, these slide up and down. So I'm going to just slide that one up a little bit. Snip it there. So you can see your greenery goes a lot further. If you just place the whole thing, it's going to look crowded. And you get more for your money by separating and putting them in individually. Okay, so I've got a little bit of greenery here to start with. So let me bring the wreath back over. Okay. So what I'd like to do now is go in between the greenery that we've already placed. So make sure you give your greenery a bend. wouldn't be totally straight in nature. And that's how you're going to bring life to the stems. And we want this to look real. We know it's artificial, but we want to give it that feel. So now I'm just going to fill in between where I placed those ferns. So I dipped it in my glue, and I'm just going to go in at an angle. Okay? Again, I'm going to take a little bit of moss, roll it in a ball, and I'm going to place that right where my glue is. Okay? We don't want it to be flat, so we want to bend it so it has some movement. Okay, let's take another piece. See, we've bent it. We haven't left it straight. Dip it in my glue. I put one up at the top. So what I want to do now is come opposite it. So I'm going to place this piece down below. Give it a little bend up. Put a little bit of moss right at the insertion point, covering my glue and adding a little more stability to the stem that I just inserted. Okay? So I'm just going to continue with this greenery doing that. Okay, so I put one up, one down. I want to go over here behind my bow. We don't want to leave that. Again, bend that greenery. Give it some life. Dip it in the glue. And I'm going to go in right behind my bow. Okay? No, it's not flat. It's standing up. That's also nice. It's going to help keep our bow up and in place. One little piece came off, so I'm going to just touch it with a little glue. That's not uncommon. That will happen. Okay, so you can see what we did there. And like I said, whatever I do on the top, I like to come back down and do that at the bottom. Well, not the bottom, but opposite it. So because we put that piece there, I want to put another piece in right underneath our tails. Looks like it's coming out of the bow. But I'm going to make sure I bend my greenery, fluffing it out. What we did here. And like I said, whatever I do on the top, I want to put another piece in. Okay. Underneath our tails. I don't want it lying flat. Take a little bit of moss. Place it at the base. Okay. So we put a piece up here. Now we've got one there. We're doing great. I think this is going to be really pretty. Okay? So you can see what we have so far. Okay? Now I want to go between the two ferns that I have right here. So let's take another piece. I'm going to make sure I bend my greenery. Dip it in the glue. Fluffing it out. And I'm going to go right in between those two. Okay? Little bit of moss. Just a little. Just because I got a little drip of glue there. Okay? Okay. So now I put that piece there. I'm going to come back down to the lower, and I'm going to do the same thing down here. So it's pretty simple. You keep repeating the same. This stem could be a little bit shorter, so I'm just going to trim that off. Dip it in my glue. And I'm going to do the same thing. Just come right down here. A little bit of moss. Just a little. Turn that off. Get my glue. And I'm going to do the same. But the little piece popped off. I'm going to just put a touch of glue. And place that on. Okay. All right, let's put another piece up here at the top, coming forward a little. Dip it in the glue. That one I had put back, so this one we're going to put towards the front. All right, let's put another piece. That looks nice. And I think I'm going to take one of my pieces of fern and put it right behind that one. So this one we're going to put okay. And we'll get another piece of our fern. So I want a little more length here. So I'm going to bring in another piece of fern to the bottom, just to bring the line down a little bit longer. Okay, so you can see that. This is curving in this direction. We're coming down, we've got greenery here, and we're going to there. We'll have our tails hanging down. So we've created a line. Now we're just going to go back and we're going to fill in. We're going to start placing some of our flowers. We'll just keep these over to the side. We'll go in and fill in spaces as we need it. Okay. All right, let me put the wreath to the side for a second. And I'm going to start cutting some of these tulips. Created a line. Okay, so we're just going to snip these off. You can see some are in 3, some are in 2. That's nice. We've got some of this color. Now we're just... And I like this greenery. See, this is incorporating another greenery. It's always nice to have at least 3. More is fine, but at least 3 different types of greenery to give your wreath interest. Take the tag off. And I got these at Michael's. Some of the items came from Michael's and some from Hobby Lobby. Okay, now let's get another color. Let's take in some of these. This is pretty. I'm leaving some length to these. We can cut them down shorter if we find we need them to be shorter. And I'm going to start cutting some of these too. Get my tag off. Don't forget to remove your tags. You don't want to sell this to a customer and have tags on it. Okay, so these are cut. We've got these. And we've got one more color of tulip that we're going to put in. This tulip I got from Khalees. I forget to remove some. So these are color of tulip that we're going to put in. And that leaf is pretty. She sells a better quality of florals. But for this situation, this is fine. So we're going to get these pink ones cut. I got from Khalees. So it's nice to get all of your elements prepared, but I wanted to show you how I do this. She sells a better quality situation. So now we've got our yellows and our corals, our red, our pink, all the colors that are in our sign. Okay. So here we go. Let's start putting these in. Oh, I just saw a little piece of tag I didn't remove. We'll get that off. So it's nice to get all of your elements prepared, but I wanted to show you how I do this. Okay, so we'll bring the wreath back over. And we'll start putting in some of our tulips. Okay? This is nice because the leaf can be adjusted. And we'll start putting in some. Just make sure you don't pull the tulip right off like I did. This is nice because the leaf can be. And it all bends, which is nice. Again, I don't want these to be flat. Okay, I'm going to start up here at the top. Put a little bit of glue. I'm going to come in here behind my bow. And it all bends, which is nice. Again. Okay, we put one up top. Let's put one down at the bottom. Well, opposite. So I'm going to come in here under my tail. Again, I don't want it flat. Giving it some movement. Okay. So we've got a couple of pink. I'm going to put in some of this color. It's a soft red and a coral. Very pretty. I don't need this stem quite this long, so I'm going to trim that down. And I'm going to go behind the bow. A soft red and a coral. I don't need this stem quite this long, so I'm going to trim that down. That's the other thing. You want varying heights. You don't want everything on the same level. That creates that dimension that we're looking for. Keep it more realistic. Okay, so we've got one behind the bow. We've placed 3. So we have a little triangle. If you can see this, we've got a little triangle going on. So now I'm going to go to the top again, but a little towards the outside. Just wiggling that a little bit, making sure I'm getting good contact, my glue to the grapevine. And I'm going to add a little bit of my moss there, so I can see that glue. Just kind of shape as you go along. So my little tulips came off. We'll just pop that back on. Okay. Okay. So now we'll take another one of the coral and red. I like this. It's got a little spikier grass in it. That's nice. I'm going to leave this one a little long So we put that one there. I want to get one coming in down here. Okay, so put a little bit of glue. Go with the grain of the grapevine. Take a little bit of moss. Give it a little bend upward. Grain of the grapevine. Take a little bit of moss. Okay. Now let's take some of our yellow and this very soft pink. We'll start dotting that around. That you want to get your colors dispersed evenly throughout the wreath. So we've got 3 at the top. Let's get another one here. The bottom. This time I'm going to come to the outside. Take some of our yellow and this very soft pink. A little moss. I'm in Kalia has a design school, and I'm in her design class, and she's the one who taught me how to use this moss, which I love. Okay, so that makes me think of sherbet. This has 2 different leaves on it, which I like. Okay, so we placed one down here. Let's go up top with it, making sure we're getting our color dispersed throughout our wreath. So I'm going to come a little more forward, getting a little closer to our sign. I'm also in Julie Samako's Wreath of the Month, learning so much. And what I'm learning there is what I'm sharing with you. And hope that you'll enjoy this. I just enjoy this so much. It gives me such joy. I'm addicted. Okay, so let's see where we need to go next. Okay, we only have 2 of our hot pink in there, so let's put a little bit more of this pink. We'll give this a little bend. And we'll get one coming out over here. It's really what's pleasing to your eye also. Not that there's a definite pattern. There's a rule of thumb that you follow. But it's what's pleasing to the eye as well, okay? And you'll see it. You'll enjoy addicted. So let's see where we need to go next. Okay, we only have 2 of our... So let's see. I'm just going to keep going around and placing my tulips in. I want to get a little bit of this hot pink coming down in this direction. And you'll see it. The bottom. I'm going to leave this one a little long. Yeah, that looks nice. I love using this moss. Okay, but we want that to have a little bend. So let me just bend that. I'm placing my tulips in. I love using this moss. That looks nice. Like more like what it would look like in nature. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get another one of these pink ones in. So we put one over here. Let's get one coming over here near the sign. I don't want to cover the sign, but I want to get a little closer to it. You want that to have a little bend. So let me just bend it. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, let's see where we are so far. It's looking very pretty. You can see we need to get some florals in this area. Okay, so let me focus over there a little bit. I just place it up there first just to get an idea of the length that I need and then trim off. Again, bend it. I just place it up there first just to get an idea of the length that I need and then trim off. Again, bend it. Okay, I put a sherbet color. That's what I'm calling it there. So I think now I'm going to go back and use some of this red and coral. It doesn't need to be too long. I hope you can see this okay. Okay, so again, we're going to come behind our bow. You don't want everything facing forward either, because don't forget, people are going to be viewing this from different angles. You know, if there's steps in the front and they're coming up the steps, they're going to see it from underneath. They're going to see it from the side. So we want to make sure we're covering all our bases here. Okay? We just hold that up for a minute. Okay, I like that. I can see I need a little piece of greenery right over here. So I'm going to go back and grab some of my greenery. And I'm going to put a piece in there. Underneath, side. Okay. Okay, I like that. I can see. Okay, that's better. If you can see that, I just filled in that little hole there. But we're going to have others. We're going to need to go over it. Okay, we'll just keep continuing along. Okay, we've got a nice disbursement of color so far. I like it. Okay, that's good. We'll just get some more here. Okay, I don't want to forget the inside also, like here behind the bow. We want to make sure we've got something going on over here as well. We'll let that stick through there. Okay, making a little ball with my moss and just going to tack a little, catch that glue that was dripping a little. See how I keep crushing my bow? That looks nice coming in there. So we did one up there. Let's do one down at the bottom. Okay, making a little ball with my moss. I'm just going to. Okay, so same thing. We're going to come in towards the center. Get some glue. Give it a little bend. Give it some movement. That looks pretty. Yeah. Okay. Need a few more down here. So let me switch over to our ice cream sherbet. Okay, and you can see I keep bending. Put it in the glue. Okay, add that. Pretty. Let's take another. I feel like need a little something over here, a little more color. So I keep pushing there. So we did. Again, maintaining our direction also. That's important to keep your direction. Keep referring to your transition point, which is our bow. Okay, let me just hold that up and take a look at it. That's looking very pretty. I can see I need something right in here. So let me add a little color there. Okay, that's looking good. So for now, let's stop with the flowers. We'll go back if we need to. We've got a little bit of filler flower here that we haven't used yet. Get this out of the way. And this is the filler bush. So I'm going to cut a few of these off. We'll start off with 6 and see where we get from there. Okay? Okay, so I've got 6. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, let's take that leaf off. Save your leaves. We use these to cover our mechanics sometimes in the back. I'm actually going to take both of those off. I don't care for those too much. This is adjustable, which is always nice. We're going to bend it. See? Just give it a little bit of life. Okay? Let me bring the sign back, wreath back over. And we're going to start inserting a few of these. Okay, I'll start at the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, right behind my bow, actually going to take bow, which is always nice. I'm going to bend it. See? Just give it a little bit of life. Right behind my bow. Okay, because we put one there, we'll come opposite it and put it down here under the bow. And take that leaf off, save it. Gonna bend it a little. We don't need quite that much length. Usually 2 to 3 inches of a stem is enough. Put it in my glue. And I'm going to come right down here. So I'm just going to go around where I think we need a little bit more filler and place that in, bending the stems. And that's one of the things I've learned, and I didn't realize that. Not that I had ever really tried to make wreaths before. I had just started in September. I lost my job due to the COVID and the lack of business at the store I was working at, and decided to try and make a wreath. Seeing how I didn't have any money coming in, I said, well, this would be a good time to save some money. And I found I loved it. So then, of course, I started researching YouTube and watching every video that I could find. And I loved it. I said, okay, was watching the videos and thought, well, you know, I think I would like to learn. And I came across Julie Samako, and I signed up for, it's not expensive, I signed up for her design school. And I'm loving every minute of it. I have learned so much and just thought I'd like to come on and share it with everybody. Okay, so see where I'm just putting some of these in, and it's just introducing some more texture. They've got movement. That's what we want. That's looking very pretty. Okay, let's get a couple more. I need some over here on the bottom, on the outside. Make sure we bend this. Take that leaf off. Don't ever throw anything away. Save it. I have like a little Ziploc bag, and I just place all those little pieces in a Ziploc bag, and then you know where they are when it comes time to just need a little fill in. So I think this would look nice coming down here. Just make sure you're making good contact with your wreath. Make sure you're making good contact. Okay, always give it a little bend up. You don't want it to be too flat. This is looking really pretty. I mean, the sign, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. It's a hymn, so of course you think Easter, but this wreath would be great for Easter, and I think it would get you right through into and through the summer. It's so pretty. Even though tulips are a spring flower, I believe that it's something you could use. Like, for instance, Christmas designs use hydrangeas in the winter time. So this definitely could be used for more than just Easter. So therefore, making it a good value for your customer if you're selling on Etsy, as I just started doing. So if you would, the name of my shop is Inspired by My Angel CLM. And go in and like my shop, look around. I'm also on Pinterest. If you wouldn't mind sharing this video, it'll help me get more viewers. Okay. So I think we need right up here. So let me place this there. So on Pinterest, if you wouldn't mind sharing. Okay, can you see where I placed that one? And see how that filled it out? We just want to keep that line going. So I think it's looking pretty good. I can see I've got a hole right here. So let's put something in there. I have some of that filler in there, so I think I'm going to use another piece of our greenery. That's what it is. Every once in a while, you just need to step back and look at it, and it'll jump right out at you if you need. So I think it's looking pretty good. I have some of that filler in there, so you just need to step back and look at it, and it'll jump right out at you if you need. I'm going to put a little bit of moss again. It's nice. You can always go back and put moss if you see pieces of glue, but it's nice to do it while the glue is wet. And get that done at that time. Okay. So here we go. We filled in that area. We've got our tails. Can you see this? I'm sorry, I'm getting used to using this camera. So here we go, we've broken that in. Okay, I just want you to take a look at this. I think it's come out quite nice. I'm hoping that you can, I'm getting this in the right location so you can see it. Get that out of the way. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, this is our finished project. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed creating it. I always do. If you'd give me a like and a share, that would be so appreciated. Check out my Etsy shop, Inspired by My Angel, CLM. I'm on Pinterest, Instagram. Give me that like and just kind of help me get my business off the ground. You'll be seeing more of me. So until the next video, I'm going to say goodbye.